Yeah, you came from job X or something that you did, or somehow the three of you are traveling together in some fashion. We could decide on that. But yeah, you've been walking along the coast and are headed to the next shitty little town that you've heard of for a place to sleep. It's, getting pretty late. It'd be in and around midnight-ish or something, that kind of ilk. But yeah, I don't really have anything specific for you guys. I'm not sure we desperately need it, but it might be fun if you guys have some ideas. We could shoot the shit about it for a minute.
Here's my theory: is the fox thinks the fighter's like the coolest guy ever. So he's just kind of following him around because he's like, if I follow this guy, I'm totally going to learn how to be like a dope, awesome fighter like him.
I love this. So would maybe I don't know if you and Shade have known each other or whatever, but you've been using your sneak to like basically follow him around long enough.
Yeah.
He finally kept finding you, and maybe he told you to piss off or whatever, but you're just not. So you're like a reluctant companion, maybe. He's reluctant to, but he's accepted you as a companion, or is that not?
I don't know. I think that'd be up to the fighter whether or not he accepts the fox's desire to follow him around.
Yeah. Fighter. Did we lose him? We can't hear you.
I like
Hashel?
might just be
Yeah.
some odd.
There you go.
Okay.
It's weird. The screen said unmuted.
Yeah. I don't know.
No, I was saying, no, that sounds cool.
So are you annoyed by his presence, or you probably were? What's your feeling towards the fox at this point?
No, I think he likes the idea of being acknowledged, but up to the point of like someone being in the way. Second he's in the way or a bit too close, it would just be,
Right, but you're like a quiet person, so the stealthy, his quiet nature, you're like, nah, whatever. It's not really bugging me.
The fact he's sneaking and hiding is fabulous.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'm not actively doing anything to show him things. Just don't care that he's there.
Right, cool. Shade, how are you in this trifecta?
I imagine, I don't know, is this something that our fighter would have been doing for a little while? I mean, sort
Good
of
question.
Muscle for hire. Because if so, I imagine that he and Shade would have met up at least a couple of times before. They're probably not unfamiliar with one another because Shade's whole life is just kind of traipsing around saying he needs guidance services and various other things. So yeah, she would probably know the local talent and various sports.
Mm-hmm. Cool. But none of you guys are overly experienced, maybe like little scuffs here and there, trying to get hired on and just like cruising town, like basically you guys set out together perhaps in some sort of like, I don't know, maybe this is, we keep hearing about these adventuring parties. Maybe that's us.
We're going to be the next great heroes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Were you saying something, fighter? Or you're using push to talk, I think. Maybe we didn't hear you.
No.
Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, you guys have been out for a while. You still haven't really come upon any adventure. I imagine if and when, like, Shade, you might be the most talkative of the group. Is that true?
Definitely.
Okay. And you're like, are you pointing out like, are you every time you pick up a fucking whatever it is, weed or something, and you're like, are you that kind of person?
Well, I don't know. I guess it would depend on Shade is definitely that kind of person who's really chatty, even if the person that they're chatting with is not interested at all. Just a constant low level of narration of the shit that's going on around them. So, if Shade is under the impression that these two are new to the area, then yeah, absolutely that kind of stuff. Otherwise, it would just generally be, so how long have you been doing this? What are some interesting stories? Oh man, I can tell you blah 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 blah. It should just general chattiness.
And I assume all the conversations are one-sided, because
probably
is Fighter talking any shit, or the Fox? I assume if you say anything, it's about like cool adventure to come and that sort of thing, and like it. I don't know. Maybe like if Shade is like just like trying to fill the conversation that you guys are not having. I'm assuming both of you are pretty quiet and tight-lipped. Is that true?
Yeah, he's pretty quiet. I think that if he finds a topic of interest, he'll talk someone's ear off.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, he's a man of few words.
Yeah, to the point where, like, just for an example from my brain, it doesn't have to be true. Like, Shade, like, yeah, again, picks up, like, because she is an expert survivalist, so she would have like flora and fauna knowledge. Like, ooh, you can eat this for basically a week. Yep. It tastes like shit. And then the Fox is like, ooh, man, if we ever get I'm gonna grab a bunch of this, and man, like I could see us being in a tight scrape and like that kind of thing.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Cool.
Yep, I'm down.
And the Fighter's probably just like whatever, probably looking ahead. Would you be because you guys are like all first level, would Fighter be like seeing exploitable like choke points up ahead and being really nervous even though there's probably nobody around you?
No, I'd probably be obviously aware of what we're doing, where we're going, but I'd be like, be paying attention to what they're saying, just not too fussed. Joining in.
Cool.
I think being perceptive too, the Fox is also constantly like concerned that there's like some evil cultists hiding somewhere, so he's just constantly like looking around for any sign of obvious villains.
Mm-hmm. Are you doing like
just super twitchy?
Do you keep disappearing and like practicing hiding and shit like that? And scaring people.
He'll just disappear and like appear right behind somebody, like ask a question or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Cool. Just trying to give like a flavor of this walk. That sounds totally doable, and a fun place to start. So that's what you guys are doing. You're walking along. I wouldn't say. It's a cold night. It feels chilly. As let's say you're walking north. As you walk along this, it's probably a path along the possibly like a rough road along the coast. You're probably inland a bit. There's probably spots where you get to where you can see like the blankness of the sea. There is no moon tonight, or is it true? Let's roll for it. There is a moon tonight. It's almost full, actually. And so you're walking along, right? Like, and the closer you get to where you think this town is going to be, it's the kind of thing where maybe one of you has been like, like you guys were told there was a town up ahead. And maybe you're like, each time you think you're there, there's another hill or something, and it's getting annoying. It's late at night. And there's a cold, dense fog building as you're walking. Like as you're walking towards where you think the town is, the fog. There's more and more fog, and it's thick, and it has like a chill to it that is a little strange. But yeah, it's just it's not uncommon for there to be fog on the sea. What are we rolling,
as the
Shane?
fog starts rolling in, he says, "Be wary, noble allies. It seems that evil may be afoot."
Cool. Shade, were you rolling for something?
That was just my money. Apologies.
Oh, no. Cool. Cool. And as it goes, the fog continues to thicken. It's almost, like all around your feet. It makes seeing in the distance difficult, but you start seeing lights that clearly you have arrived at the town that you had hoped for. The town is called, is called Elex. Oh, sorry, I'm hiccuping. I'm in words. The town of Elex. We'll even bold that, because it's fun to bold things. Cool. Normal looking townish, not very big. Looks like a, like fisherman town, that kind of deal. Yeah, the various town things. You don't see a lot of people out front, but it's late and you're like, whatever. You make your way to, I'm assuming you guys are probably looking for a place to crash, right?
Probably.
Did you say it was late or?
Yeah, it's probably midnight-ish.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely.
I don't know how to spell.
Then yeah.
It's always... Hold on. I need to look this up. Sometimes spell check does me wrong. There we go. Okay, I got you. Kraken. Cool. And you guys are walking into town. It's not unusual. The fog is not super unusual. Someone's mic is super noisy. Is that you? Oh, that's
Mine?
Yeah, that's you.
All right, let me mute for a second because my missus is out.
Yeah, that's cool. There we go. Cool. You guys are walking through. It's not unusual for there to be fog, so it doesn't seem super unusual. It's a little colder than you'd think, but whatever. You're on the sea. Fog happens. You're rolling in late. That happens. You guys roll up to the one tavern in town. It's pretty run down, little beat up shack, and it's called the Krusty Kraken.
Of course.
The Krusty Kraken. I don't know. I was going to ask you guys what the name of the tavern was, but then that just came to me because it's a fishing town. I thought it was funny. I don't know what a Krusty Kraken is.
Are
What's
you
that?
a SpongeBob fan? Are you a SpongeBob
Oh, is that a thing?
fan?
No, I'm not. Is that a thing?
The Krusty Krab. It's the Krusty Krab.
There is a Krusty Kraken? Well,
There's a Krusty Krab with a K, but the
Got
Krusty
it.
Krab.
Oh, okay. The Krusty Kraken. I don't know. I thought it was funny. I guess it could have been the Plumber's Kraken.
Funny.
That would be
No,
funnier.
oh my god.
Okay. I think I just changed the name of the...
I'm stealing that. No, I'm stealing that.
The Plumber's Kraken.
The Plumber's Kraken.
That's okay. That's definitely funnier. Cool. And the Plumber's Kraken, the lights are on, but there's the sign on the door is flipped to closed. You guys peer in the window and it's completely empty in there.
Nobody's inside, darn it, because the first thing I was going to roll was to see if I could find any strange hooded figures that may be looking for adventurers. Okay.
Is it empty of just
cool.
like patrons or everyone?
It looks there's absolutely no one in there. There's no one behind the bar. The light there is candlelight. You know, like there's candles in the window. Even there are some. There are, I want to say, still partially full like flagons on tables. It looks like everyone just left in a hurry.
Huh.
Dubious.
Is there any sign of a struggle? I mean, does it just look like everybody got up and left?
It does. It looks like there's no like knocked over chairs or anything. It looks like as you look around the room, you know, it's like a scene that you would normally see in a tavern, except just the people are missing. It's very weird. You know, like half-eaten food, plates of food, loaves of bread, that sort of thing on the tables. You know, like at one of the tables, it looks like there's a bunch of cards that are just laid down. You know, like holding hands. You know, like so it looks like a normal night's tavern festivities that have just been interrupted, and the people are missing.
All right, is there any sign of like, did they just walk out the front exit, or does it seem like they went somewhere in specific in the tavern?
You definitely notice that there is a back door, and that the back, you know, like behind the bar, you know, this is like one of those classic longer bars with tables up front, walk through, bar at the back, and then, you know, like a kitchen and that sort of thing that would be off the back. And it looks like there's a door there. And I would say the Fox, your notion to like snoop around and your perception, you don't need to roll it. You guys, and I mean, you probably all do, but especially you because you were looking and headed that way in your mind. You guys hear a little bit of a rumble, you know, like noise, and maybe maybe at least one like scream or something coming from the back of the tavern. It sounds like it's out, you know, like outside around back.
I mean,
Draw my weapon.
yeah, shade at the very least. Definitely
My
head over.
well-crafted wooden sword that does absolutely nothing, and I'm gonna sneak towards the back.
Shade, what were you saying?
To.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Keep going, Fox.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say I'm gonna roll for stealth.
Okay.
I would also like to try to get around back and see what's going on stealthily if possible.
Yeah, I think both of you, you don't really need to roll. And for you, Fox, like normally just say what you want to do. I'll tell you if you need to roll. You guys are all stealthy. Like if I was going to roll anything, if we were going to roll stealth, I would make the fighter roll it because I don't think he's stealthy yet. But that's fine. You guys are you're like shh and kind of sneak around the back. There's an obvious path that heads that way if you guys want.
Okay, sounds good. Does it look like anybody else has walked this way recently? Can you see footprints or anything?
I mean, there's a ton of footprints. This is like the one, you know, you get the sense like this is the, you know, this is the bar.
It's a main thoroughfare.
It's the bar, the restaurant, the stable, the post office, the meeting room. It's the everything. So yeah, there is a ton of footprints.
Okay.
Cool. So you guys walk around back, and the voices immediately come into play. It sounds like, you know, like a low rumble of a classic mob, and you start seeing people. Like how far do you hear it before you peek around the thing, but you see like some, you know, like a couple of people off in the way distance that can't see you. You're in the total dark. You guys don't have a light or anything, so you don't. And they're all like there's enough noise where they can't hear shit for you guys, so you don't have to really roll for stealth or anything like that. But what do you want to do? How do you want to investigate this?
Okay, so hearing this rumble, I want to kind of peek around to where it's coming from, see if I can see what seems to be going on.
Yeah, do you want to like roll up in there, or are you like back to the building and like give me like physically how you're doing it?
Definitely being like trying to keep as much distance and sticking to the shadows.
Cool. Yeah, and I would say the moonlight is casting a nice shadow up against the tavern wall, the exterior wall. So you could definitely just lean into that and walk that way. Are you looking to just peek around the corner? We'll just go. We're saying the fox is first. Cool. Yeah. So you slide up. You're back. You know how this works. You're good at. You've definitely scared your traveling companions more than once on this since you've been traveling, and you kind of like stick to the edge of the shadows, but you can see now. You see a woman tied to a stake and a small mob. I'm going to say like 15 people, 15 maybe 20 people, some of which are. Clearly putting really large holly branches around the foot around the stake, basically where this woman is tied to the stake. This has all the markings of a classic witch burying.
Does she look like a witch?
End badly.
Say again?
Does she look like a witch?
Are you expecting like a pointy hat and green nose?
They've tied a carrot to her nose.
Yep.
She doesn't.
It's not even my real nose. It's a false one.
They built a bridge out of her. So clearly, honestly, you can barely miss the bright wavy red hair. You couldn't tell. Yeah, like fair whitish skin. Dancing because they've got they've got torches and stuff. You can definitely see even from this distance. You can tell like she's got red hair and like the pasty white skin that is
I mean, if she's a ginger, there is no forgiveness. I say we let them crack on with it.
Just look at each other. There's nothing we can do.
If anything, we should help them.
Yeah, ginger's got to burn.
We're already over there. Spark kit's going. It won't light.
God.
Okay, like. Is she screaming in a sort of no help me way, or you're all burned for this sort of way?
She's protesting her innocence. She's like
a likely story.
And she's saying things like, I had nothing to do with it. This won't bring them back. Like things like of that nature.
So, I'm trying to decide whether or not the fox would be convinced by this, because I imagine he's not super experienced, so he'd be easily swayed by someone proclaiming their innocence.
Mm-hmm. Question. Is there like one person sort of stood above or in front of all the others? Conducting this? Is there an evil priest, is what I'm asking.
Oh, right. Gotcha. This seems more like a mob. There are definitely it's a mix of men and women. A number of the women are just sobbing, just completely sobbing. And the men definitely seem just like Yeah, like in a rage. They're definitely just angered, and every time she says something, they'll scream back at her, like, you would, given a little bit of time, you would definitely hear like you get the sense of like they're blaming her for children being missing, like children's names.
Kids nearby.
You see 0 children.
Okay, I would like to approach the group kind of using the stealthiness of, like, I guess the fact that he sort of blends in with the background and the crowd sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
See if I can approach and see if I can get a better look at what's going on right now.
Do you want to like approach some of, like any, like in a particular person, like the person closest to you guys, that kind of thing? Or are you just, do you want to pop in the middle of this scene?
I think I'm going to like pop in the middle of this scene.
Okay. Because let me see. Shay, did you have anything you wanted to do before this happens?
I'm going to take a look at what exactly is binding her. How is she kept attached there?
It looks like, like hands behind her, like you would, bound behind her at the stake. It's like, okay. The stake is much taller than her. It could even be a tree, like it's a tall stake thing. Some sort of it doesn't really matter. And yeah, they're just the only thing odd is just like, God, these holly bushes are gigantic and they have these huge fat fucking berries on them still. They've clearly been recently, chopped up, like they look very fresh, but to your eye, what's that?
These are still very green. These are still very green, as in they don't burn.
Yeah, and your knowledge of this kind of, you have obvious knowledge of holly bushes. You're shocked at how big they are. They're really gigantic ones.
Do they have symbolic value or something? Because I would imagine they would have better kindling available if they wanted it.
You're not exactly sure. Yeah, you would think that though, for sure. This doesn't make a ton of sense, but like, hey.
I guess Shade's whole thing right now is trying to angle herself out of sight from the others, while her companions are kind of distracting them. Shade wants to work her way around and see if she can kind of plan for getting the woman untied and free.
Okay, so
I have a vague.
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead.
I have something I want to do. But if you give me one moment just to go tuck my door into bed.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Go for it.
I shall be but a moment.
I'm planning your guys' movement right now, so that's cool. Yeah. So Shade, you kind of get the intent of. I'm sure the fox is like. The fox? Are you giving any indication of what you're doing? Like kind of like pointing at yourself and I'm going over there kind of thing, sign languagey.
Yeah, a sort of keep them distracted motion while Shade kind of works her way around the crowd over to where this woman is.
Yeah, Shade,
I don't think the fox is giving much indication of what he's doing, purely because he's like in hero mode right now. He's totally oblivious to everybody else around him.
Cool. Cool. So, but Shade, you see him, the fox, walking, let's say, towards the middle of the crowd. And the middle of the crowd would be in and around the witch burning. Are you looking to do that? Are you like, I'm gonna flank the other way, or are you headed like, into like, like maybe you want to talk to some of the people? Like, what are you trying to do?
Are you asking me? Or the fox?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
No, I can't imagine that I would be talking to anybody. Shade is probably trying to keep beneath notice, but she would definitely keep an ear out if anybody was talking about something, if she could pick up any clues contextually about what's going on.
For sure. And I would suggest, like, the two of you being stealthy in this sense, and again, you don't need to roll for this, like, you get the sense, like, there's a lot of commotion going on here. No one's really specifically paying attention to the mob is not watching itself. It's all eyes are on the witch, right? Like, so, and you're probably stealthily moving through the crowd, right? Like, just, you know, because they're not it's a fucking mob. They're not going to notice you, right? Like, so yeah, so you guys can do whatever you want. Are you headed together through the center, let's say, or are you right? Just like imagine 20 people, like 15 people in and around, you know, like imagine it's like a high school party and like there's a bonfire. How are you walking around this thing?
Our unnamed fighter did say that he had an idea.
Yep. Unnamed fighter. What was your idea?
I was half debating kind of using myself as a distraction for the other two. Like, so you've come out the back of this tavern. Has Fox disappeared already? Like, was that immediate, or is he still planning?
You see him. You see the two of these. I don't know if Shade wants to. The Fox is not saying shit. He's just trying to quietly infiltrate through. Yeah, blend in through the crowd. Shade was going to do the same.
Yeah, Shade absolutely. If the Fox is clearly not responding quite as well as she would like, but she'd send our fighter sort of the same message, like keep them distracted. I will take care of this.
And how would the fighter take that message?
Well, it's very easy to be distracting.
Take your pick.
Okay, my next question then is, if we're sort of looking at this place as we would a map, if everyone's in this little bundle, where are we in reference to? Are we behind them, next to them, and they're staring?
Yeah, you're behind them. They're staring away from you at the... Yeah, so
the mob, the woman.
Yeah, so they're basically lighting a bonfire, so it's... They you know, they're not trying to burn down their tavern, so it's further out into a field, and right. So I went right to high school because I've done this you know, like in the Midwest, that's what you do. You party out in the cornfields. So big bonfire. Yeah, of course. And just like strewn about are people in various clumps, you know, of whatever. If there was a specific person you were targeting, we could discover that. But like, it's basically a small mob, eyes affixed. You know, some people are consoling, like women are consoling each other, men are angry, and all eyes affixed on the witch.
Does this place use oil lanterns?
Oil lanterns? Yeah.
Would I be able to find something flammable, say, very close to me?
Let's say, without knowing, I'm assuming whale blubber lanterns are a thing. This was for say, I don't know when those were around, but probably. So let's say lanterns, torches.
Yeah, with the lamps.
Sure, why not? We're on the sea. Makes sense.
Okay, so if I was to say, break one of those or kick one of those over in the tavern, that would distract people, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would say so.
You would want to? Are you talking about going in the tavern?
Oh, I've like just stood in the doorway to it, facing outwards, and just begin wreaking havoc. It's not. I'm not lighting anything yet, but I want to threaten.
Oh, are you making people like? So they're not facing you. Are you holding the whale blubber lantern cannon?
I mean, would they hear that sort of thing? Oh no! If I smash it, it's going to light straight away.
I mean, is there something you want to say to the crowd and get their attention?
Words are unnecessary at this point. I just want their attention. I want to be the most important person in this area.
I mean, throwing a lantern into the back room of the tavern would certainly get their attention once it catches.
I just don't want to burn it down yet.
Right. I mean, there would be a wood staircase and possibly even a deck out there. You could just casually light that on fire or set it to light on fire. Like take the cover off and almost essentially a bomb and walk away if you want.
I think what I'd rather do is, shout, holler, swear, whoever gets the most attention. Just kind of faintly gesture a lantern into the tavern. Not actually throw or break it. Just to see if somebody important steps forwards.
Okay, you're going to have to describe that because I don't know what you mean.
Okay, so I want to make a ruckus to get the attention. Obviously, they're all facing away.
Okay.
And then as I assume one or two people look round, hopefully as many as possible, we'll just kind of wave like the lit lantern in the doorway, like I was thinking of throwing it, to try and cause some concern.
What are you screaming out, she's a witch, or she's not a witch, or are you screaming something?
And my first thought jumps to oi, but...
Oi.
Oi!
It's like... I don't know, just a loud call or something. A whistle.
Okay.
That works.
Okay. And you can do that. So you scream out, oi! And a good number of the people turn. Are you standing on the deck? Are you still in the shadows? On the steps up to the back of the tavern?
Getting up the steps kind of sounds smart. Then I can't be surrounded or anything.
Yeah, so you're at the top of the steps. You know, if you wanted to walk up those steps. So let's say in the back of the tavern, right, off the kitchen, there is a set of steps that leads onto a small deck. You know, for people out back as well, for seating and that sort of thing. That probably, let's say, picnic tables, long tables, that kind of thing. Since we're going German, and I don't know why we're going German, but it's just the way I was thinking. And you're, up a few steps at least, however many you want. You can be at the back door if you want. And your whole, you grabbed a whale blubber lantern off one of the tables and are you holding it menacingly? Now what are you doing? Give me the vibe of that.
I don't be too menacing. I just don't want them to get the idea that I could easily throw this thing in there and cause an issue if I'm not listened to. Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, they turn to you. The whole crowd kind of stops putting, they're basically almost finished packing in the holly. And you see a couple people with torches at the ready. They all shift to you and they're kind of like, yeah. And let me see. Yeah. Nobody necessarily, their eyes are fixed on you now. The Fox, do you and Shade, do you also turn your gaze to him in the same way, everyone's looking at him? You're trying to blend in.
Yeah,
I have a question. How flammable does the ground seem right now? Around the townspeople?
It would not be that flammable. You're on the sea. It's probably pretty, salty, moist in the air, that kind of thing. Tons of fog, so probably not that damp. Inside the tavern, probably very damp. Very flammable. All wood.
Yeah, then I'd probably turn my head.
Okay. Fighter, you have an audience. What do you
Okay.
want to do?
So in the crowd, because I'm going to assume there's not many people in masks, can I see Fox
Oh yeah.
and see Shade?
Yeah, they're not that far from you. Fox, just out of curiosity, do you wear like a hooded thing so the mask isn't very obvious?
Yeah, I definitely do.
Yeah, because otherwise someone would definitely notice that. Cool. It's your
I
stage.
assume this is
Fighter.
giving. I assume this is giving Shade possibly a chance to do anything should they wish to.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shade. Are you
Yeah,
like,
or
are you backing up through the? You know, like you turn to the crowd, but you want to back up and continue towards something.
no, I think it's a
Lost
word.
you, Yulia. Shade, are you there?
Shade's gone quiet.
Yeah, you could have.
I heard you for a second.
You just cut out for a little bit. Can you say that again?
Oh, okay. Were you trying to do a thing? You have an opening.
It's me again, yeah? Sorry, got confused then. You guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can't hear Shade.
Can you hear me?
There you go. Now I can hear
Hello.
you. Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Just making
It
sure.
wouldn't be a game if you didn't have an audio problem. Jesus.
That is fair. That is very fair.
Very true.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
well,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm happy I can see them, so I know they are the key points in this.
So
I-
the fighter is taken the attention of everyone for seconds. Shade, if there
Yep.
was Shade or the Fox, we'll start with Shade. Is there something you wanted to do in this? This is your moment.
Absolutely. If this is the moment where everyone is distracted, Shade would like to jump up and attempt to free the woman from her bonds.
Okay.
Do I need to make a roll?
I would say, yeah, let's roll for this because I want to see.
It help if I'm talking while Shade's doing that?
Yeah, you'd be saying something, but you don't have to say it just yet. We'll figure it out. Think of
Okay,
something.
cool.
The Fox, are you just like trying to, is there anything you're trying to do, by the way?
I think seeing this, I am going to start edging towards the edge of the group, towards probably one of the more shadowed buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Do I see Shade, what she's doing?
Yeah, Shade. Yeah, so you're headed for the shadows. Shade, what you're looking at, everyone's now looking at the fighter back towards the tavern. But there are at least two dudes with torches, and a couple of dudes that are probably done packing the holly. The holly, they've brought enough holly to I don't know if you have experience with witch burning, but like there's a certain amount of wood that you would want, I guess. But
Oh,
I
so
certainly
much.
don't.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so like you get the sense that they're ready, they're about to light. So if you want to explain to me how you want to get around them, that's cool.
Okay, all right, sorry. Let me make sure I have an idea. Okay, so these two, you said two people, two guys?
Mm-hmm. There's two with
they're
torches, two are packing holly. The rest of the crowd is, turned and feet away. They're probably all turned and they all stop for a second and are trying to figure out what the hell is going on. So what do you want to do in this moment?
I kind of want to see if I can bluff them, turn on, make it seem like I'm also just an angry crowd member and go up and start shouting about how nothing can sway us from righting this tremendous evil that's infiltrated our community and grab one of the torches from the guys and go up to the pyre and just start swinging the torch around and shouting about how, this is evil that must be removed from our community. And I guess making a big display of it, like I'm just a normal member of the mob, but also trying to loosen the woman's bonds while I'm kind of up there making a scene.
Fantastic.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So, correct me if I'm wrong. So, I see. Yeah. So you're like, cool. You turn away from the fighter and start stomping towards the witch. You grab the torch out of the dude on the right that out of his hand. Like, let me have that. This chick, she's got to burn. She's a witch.
Yep.
Fuck building a bridge out of her. To the point where, and you're like walking back there and like, and dude, I just rolled. I love die fate. Dude is like, yeah, sister, that's right. And he eggs you on it and like he's giving you like a partial attention as you have the torch, and like you might even be trying to light some of the holly, right? Like, because it's gonna be slow to start. And you're like, and maybe you even flip it on there, and the other dude flips his on there too, and then turns his attention to the fighter because they're like, "What the fuck is going on?" These are just like seconds this is happening, and yeah, you have an opportunity to at least stealthily cut her her bindings if you would like.
And that is what I would like to do.
Cool. Let's roll.
While
for that.
she's doing that,
yeah.
So while she's doing that, would I have made it to sort of the buildings on the side of the road?
Buildings on the side of the road. You're looking just for like a stealth point?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and climb up onto one of the rooftops.
Oh yeah, you could circle back and climb back up onto the rooftop of like the tavern. Is that what you're looking for?
Not the tavern, more of one of the buildings to the side closer to the mob right now.
Yeah, cool. There's definitely a stable out there, right? Like you could, that would be low to the ground. You could hop up on that, and it's totally in the dark. Let's say, possibly.
Okay,
even,
and then
you could probably climb a tree, stealthily climb up that thing and get on the roof if you want.
And then I'm going to wait there for now as Shade does her thing.
Okay, yeah, and you're not terribly far from them. Like, how far would you want to be? Are you looking to be like jump down far, cat throw things far? What are you looking to be?
Probably like I could jump down into the group if necessary, but enough where if I were to shout something, they would for sure notice me.
Cool.
But not like even if I shouted something, they wouldn't necessarily see all my features.
Right. And now I'm curious if the fox uses the mask for spooky details. But let's move to the fighter. Fighter, what are you saying? What's going on?
Did you say that they were actually starting to light the holly now?
Yeah.
Ah, fuck. It's kind of scuppered my plan.
What were you going to do? It's not lit yet.
I was going to... Your use of the word yet, as in it's starting to light, or they haven't got any flame to the holly?
Yeah, when you took their... the holly hasn't caught yet. It's still very green, but they've thrown their torches on it, so it's only a matter of time.
Oh, and I was going to try and be so diplomatic. Okay then, I'll cause a scene. I want to throw the lantern to, I'd say, the nearest big pile of something flammable.
I mean, you could probably just smash it on the deck, which is all wood.
But that's also I'm on it.
That's true.
I was going to say it's stable, but there is a fox on it.
Yep, but
I mean, then
just,
again,
you
said it was easy enough for him to jump down.
It's not hard to just like throw it behind you right through the door into the back of the tower.
Okay, then I'll just toss it inside.
Yep.
Gently and delicately cause arson.
You're not saying why or anything. That's the only.
No, I was going to be. Like I said, I was going to try and be diplomatic, but now there's things I light. I don't have much time.
So you say, but you're saying nothing. You're just like, I'm lighting your town hall on fire.
Well, I was going to look for whoever was in charge, but
oh, I see.
Things have progressed.
Yeah, you can.
It's gone south.
You get the sense that there, this is a mob, not really anyone in charge.
Yeah. Well, I can see. Assume I understand what Shade's doing. Do I understand her whole scene was a ruse?
I would think so.
She's not just snapped.
I would hope so.
And I'm just going to cause mayhem and give her extra chance of, not being noticed. Actually grab the one and, dip.
Cool. So when you just you take the lantern and you huck it over your shoulder behind you without even looking, it goes right into the back of the tavern. Are you just going to stand there? What are you doing?
What's my chances that I could run, say, around a building and sort of slip into, hide somewhere?
Oh, I think
while they're faffing with that, can I?
Yeah, I would say you could one hand leap from, do the one hand over the banister of the steps down, leap back into the shadows of the side where you guys came from, and do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
I don't think I think everyone will react with more like, what the fuck was that? than get him.
Yeah. And I'd try and sort of circle round the long way to get to Jade and the what's the word? The ginger witch. That's it. Sorry.
Cool. Except Diafate says I was wrong. And the tavern owner yells,
"He's very
get
concerned,
him!" Yeah, he's pretty upset. And yells fire and yells get him, and at least one person half-heartedly chases you until he gets into the shadows, and then he's like, why am I chasing an unknown person into the shadows? And the tavern worker, I would say his wife, and possibly what you could assume because wearing an apron, one of the employees rushed to control the fire into the back room. And the general vibe of the crowd is like, what the fuck just happened? And Yulia, you want to roll for that? Let's see. Just because this has some. This is tricky. This has some
okay. What do I need to roll?
You tell me how how you cutting the bindings. Tell me what you would do.
I mean, just because I'm the player and I want to be on my own side, I would imagine Survivalist would be involved in cutting, ties and things like that, undoing bounds or bonds.
I could certainly see that. It's not a fighting action. You would probably have knowledge of any number of rope ties and things like that. Maybe not of a sailor's ilk,
okay.
Perhaps in fashioning things. I would imagine. What weapons do you have?
I have a dagger and I have a slingshot.
I mean, slingshot seems like a bad call here. So let's go with the dagger.
Yeah, not here.
I would say dagger. You're very used to fashioning shelters, and you're probably very handy with cutting twines and of the like. So yeah, let's do it.
I guess the question is, as an expert survivalist, is that 2d6 or 3d6? Take the highest.
3d6, yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, there you go.
Dang.
Not a problem.
5.
The 5. Of course, you didn't get a 6, but like, yeah, that's cool. You do it. Her hands are unbound, and she was like looking at you like you're a fucking crazy person, and probably yelling at you, "Who's this bitch?" That kind of, "Who's this fucking cat bitch?" And then when you do that, she rips her hands free, and everyone sees that she's free. What do you want to do?
All right, time to leave. Yeah, I imagine she would like try to grab her and drag her, off into the alleyways somewhere. Like, okay, we need to leave right now. And I would hope that you are smart enough to realize that I'm helping you.
Yeah, I think she figured it out. She's like, okay. And she almost partially grabs you, and the two of you run away from the fire, away from the tavern, into the darkness.
Okay.
All right.
That was my.
The fox will follow them as soon as they get her free because, his intervention wasn't necessary. So probably best to disappear before anybody sees him.
Yeah. So you clunk clunk along the roof. You probably jump into a tree, like shimmy down, and are also headed into the darkness with them. Fighter, you're probably you're in the front of the tavern maybe now? I don't know what you're doing.
Like I said, I was slowly circling around to meet them, so...
Okay, cool. Let's
Can I see them?
Yeah, you probably just caught that little act, and they're running into the darkness. Maybe there's probably a way for you to sneak in and around the barn and head that direction. So let's say Yulia has the biggest head start. She's probably out of your sight, Fox, and Fox is probably out of your sight, Fighter. Headed into the darkness, you don't exactly know where. And with that, let's take a quick break. Let's take like a 5-10 minute break and come back. All good?
All right, sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool.
I was planning to try and like impersonate some divine power if anything went wrong to try and declare this woman's innocence.
I was like, I immediately went to like, yeah, if you had a light source using the mask as a creepy fucking thing from the top of the roof, I would definitely think that would be pretty cool. But cool. Let's take a break.
Or do the Batman thing where you're ducking around the roofs, shouting out at people.
Totally. I mean, white, I'm assuming it's bright white, like probably porcelain maybe? I don't even know. We haven't talked about it. Mask.
Yeah, that makes sense.
On a black cloak looks pretty fucking creepy. Cool. We'll talk about it in a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you are still hand in hand with the witch and just like kind of booking through a little bit of woodland between what seems like maybe two farms, right? Like, or another farm. And she pulls you one which, you guys are kind of both pulling each other in whatever directions, but she's from here. So I don't know if you want to give her the benefit of the doubt.
I probably would. Yeah, I'd let her go.
Because as you were fleeing, you definitely heard the people, the mob shouting, "The Holly Witch is getting away!" That sort of thing. All of you guys would have heard that.
Okay.
Let's see. Roll me a d6, Fox. Let's see this. Huh?
A d6.
Yeah, just all you have to do in this is just type D6, which is
yes.
All right. Escalators, escalators, escalators. Please give me a good roll.
Oh!
God damn it.
That's okay. Welcome to... This is known as the Die of Fate. It's not. So you do not see Shade. Fighter, also roll me a d6. Let's see how you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nearly got that wrong.
Die of Fate is my absolute favorite thing in life. Cool. Fighter, you've the fox, you slow down for a second to kind of put an ear to the wind and see if you can hear something. And when you do that, what you hear is the fighter coming bounding behind you and almost running into you.
Oh, it's just you. Do you have any idea where they went?
I assumed forwards.
I guess I'll keep heading forward then.
Gesturing. Get him to go forwards a bit.
Let's monkey with the Die of Fate. And Fox, if you want to, if you're you want to roll 2d6 for your perception and see if you can hear them.
Okay.
Yep. Cool.
Okay.
So you hear some noise up and forward and to the left. Let's say you would be running. Who cares? Let's say you're running north. So yeah, you hear the only noise forward north of you is a little bit off to your left, but you also hear what you is clear to you is the mob behind you, closing some distance.
Does the fighter still have something flammable like a lantern or something?
Good question. Do you guys have what's in your inventory, either of you, for flammability?
I tossed the lantern, so I don't have that.
Right.
Would I have something like a torch or?
You might have a torch.
I guess I could say I bought a torch.
Yeah. I mean, you're in kind of a slightly wooded area, so it wouldn't be hard to makeshift it either.
Oops.
Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna probably try and makeshift a torch and light it on fire and throw it behind me to kind of hopefully stifle the mob.
Oh, so yeah, cool. So you're like so I guess a better question is, do you guys have some sort of lighting device? We could, it would probably not be uncommon for both of you to have some sort of
a tinderbox kit or something.
Yeah, something. I mean,
I believe I chose to buy adventuring gears, so I should have the flint and steel.
Yeah, for sure. We can totally. So yeah, so you can makeshift a quick, maybe rip some fabric off your cape or cloak or whatever you've got, fashion it, find a something. Are you just jamming this branch into the ground and just lighting it, as far as trying to, or are you trying to light something bigger on fire? What are you doing?
I think I'm trying to light any of the brush and trees on fire behind me.
Wow.
Starting to see a pattern.
Yeah, I'm glad you don't live in New Mexico, man. Jesus. Cool. Yeah, let's see. Yep. No problem. Yeah, you just find some dry brush, chink, 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 with your flint. It starts to light. Now what?
Probably keep running towards where I could hear them kind of going.
Cool. And you guys are off. Fighter, do you have anything, or are you just along for the ride at this point?
I just look a bit sort of confused. Hold on, we did this bit, and then just carry on running.
So, Yulia, I'm not sure if you knew you had a couple pyros in your crew, but
I guess so.
I mean, the Holly Witch would argue that, yeah, you should, at least they're not lighting a person on fire like you were. So that's the new. This crew is now the Pyro crew for sure. The Bull and Spoon crew, different crew. Cool. So Yulia, she would, the witch would like pull you down, like to stop, right? Like stop in like hunker down in some bush, and like
Okay.
and say shh, and listen. And you wouldn't need perception in this case. You can definitely hear a faint clamoring of a mob. Is there something you want to do?
I can hear the faint clamoring of what?
Of a mob, right? Like you can hear the mob coming. You don't hear the fox or the fighter yet. But like people like, get her, she went this way.
Okay, are we reasonably well hidden? Like, is there something that we could do?
The two of you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are like it's dark, right? It's only illuminated by the moonlight. She just pulled you down into a thicket, let's say, right? Like so to give some cover, with the intention. She was like, shh, the intention of listening to what's going on. I think they're far enough away, which is good, that you can't even tell what they're doing exactly. Like if they're being organized or just a maniacs, you can't tell.
Okay. No, I hate to say it, but I think if we've got good cover and the mob is passing by, just lay low and you're out.
And while you do that, she grabs your hand and says, "This way," and pulls you a little further. Do you follow her?
All right. Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Cool. And you break through the woods, come to a clearing. It's obviously tilled land, and she runs into. She runs up to. You see, some clothes hanging on a clothesline, and she runs up there and stops, and you out of breath, and she starts pulling some clothes off the line, and she's looking at you.
Oh, yeah.
and she says, "I thought you were gonna kill me. Who are you people?"
Not today.
And then
I
you
think.
notice. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No,
I
go
was
ahead.
going to say. I think. I was going to say. I think Shade would also pull some clothes off the line. And says, "Not today. Not today. We'll wait until the money and right. Let's until then. Let's keep going." And she'll go ahead and pull some clothing over herself and try to disguise what she can.
Okay. She's like, "I have a different plan, but yes." And she starts taking off her clothes, just like tossing them on the ground until she's naked.
Sexy.
Okay.
The sexy Holly Witch. And she keeps like eyeballing you, doesn't really say anything. You can tell she's a little bit curious who the fuck you are, but like she seems a little preoccupied, having barely escaped being burned at the stake. Probably has
Being
that
burned
effect.
alive. Lightly toasted.
And as she's putting on like a pair of bib overalls, she says, "Well, I guess I should thank you for saving me back there. Thank you."
Shade will go ahead and give a kind of over the top bow and says, "Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. I will admit it's mostly because I cannot stand the smell of burning human. It really is quite atrocious."
And she looks at you like, No. You can see it in the question in her eyes, but she doesn't ask, like, where would you have smelled burning human? But she reaches into a pouch that she puts in her new, like in the bib of her bib overalls, and pulls out like this like little handful of dust and starts sprinkling it over her head a little bit at a time. And within seconds, she now appears to be a man. What are you saying?
She is a witch.
She is a witch. I guess we should we should let her burn.
And then she takes a little pinch of the dust and swallows it, and does like, and then she says, "Right, I gotta get out of here."
I'm sorry. What? No, I need some explanation here.
Yeah, what do you need? Make it quick, though. They're coming.
No, why? I'm sorry. Why were they burning you? What is going on here?
These fucking trollers. You try to help them, and and you get burned at the stake. That's how it's going. Have you? Where do I start? I got to make this quick. Have you heard of the child's story, the Ice Prince? Let me see. Yulia has not heard of the Ice Prince.
Okay.
Sorry. I mean, unless you want to, you talk me into it. Diafate says no.
I mean, Shade is the kind of person who would have traveled around fairly much. She wouldn't have traveled around as much as a child, but as an adult, she might have heard some child's stories or myths or local legends,
Cool. It sounds familiar to you. It's the classic, story to tell children so they're not bad. But, there's a prince that lives in a castle made of ice that travels the seas with his many wives and eats the bad children from all the small little, fishing communities. It's a classic.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Did she bring this? How did she bring this up? This story of the Ice Prince?
Well, yeah. So she was asking if you've heard it, and you're like,
okay, Yulia. Yeah, Shade would have told her, well, I've heard this, that, and the other thing. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she says, well, it turns out that now she speaks like a mad. Turns out that it was very clear to me that there are children going missing last night. This town, usually it's 1 or 2. This town had 5 last night. I've been trying to help them and predict. It was very obvious that this obscure holly grows practically overnight with the biggest berries I've ever seen in my life. It's very obvious, and where the holly grows, and she points at exactly a giant holly plant up by the farmhouse. The children go.
Okay.
So, she would say, the people are obviously they think the Ice Prince is here. And B, word to the wise, kid. If you figure out, never tell idiots, like, never try to help idiots because it'll come back to haunt you. So they think it's my fault.
Dear. Is there? I mean, in D&D, this would be, I guess, an insight check. Can Shade get a read on this woman? Like, is she bullshitting me, or what is
perception?
happening right now?
You're very perceptive, are you not?
I am. I am very perceptive.
Let's roll perception then. That sounds good.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh dear.
With 2 ones,
With snake eyes.
yeah, you definitely think she's a witch, and she's full of fucking shit.
Oh, okay.
And now you're like,
Great.
I need to
Your
burn
turn to
her.
start a forest fire.
Yeah. And with that perception roll, you don't notice the fire that is slightly visible, the smoke definitely visible in the moonlight, coming from the forest where you guys just were. And the Holly Witch turns to you and she says, "Yep, gotta go," and blasts off into the dark. What do you want to do? Actually, why don't we flip Fox and Fighter?
There.
Are you guys just running through the woods?
Yeah,
trying to
we
find
caught up.
our
We went, yeah.
companion.
Cool. I would say you probably break into the clearing, and Diafate says you do see at least a figure, with like sheets literally blowing in the wind. I'm not sure you can tell it's shade or not, but
Draw my perfectly usable sword. Who's there? Oh, the fox just aged 20 years, I see. Who's there?
He's been smoking.
yep, running hard.
Who's
Shade,
there?
that's to you.
Okay. All right. So our witch just kind of blasted off again, Team Rocket style. Is that correct?
Yeah, and so this is one of those scenes where like she darts off into the darkness before you can, before you have an action to follow her. It's within a second, you are reunited with your compatriots. Perhaps you recognize them, perhaps you don't.
I mean, do I need to roll to see if I recognize them? Because if I do recognize them, I would just tell them what the hell had just happened.
I would suggest you have cat eyes and perception. You don't need to roll.
Okay. I will go ahead and tell them this has been a very strange day, and I will inform them of what has happened.
So you're saying we should have left her at the stake?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying she might actually be a witch. That's all I'm gonna go with.
See what direction she went?
She went that way.
Yeah, do you guys want to follow her, or are you looking for something else?
I mean, I'm good with following her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we have really any other information. She seems to be the most pertinent source of information right now.
And just as you guys discuss that, it's clear to both of you. You can see the fire that you've lit, and you can see that you can hear the voices going, "Fire, fire!" So they're
Any screams?
That close. I imagine there are some screams.
Well, sounds like that mob will be distracted for a bit.
So off on the chase.
Off we go.
Cool. So you guys flee past the farmhouse, and it's clear to you that as you're running, there's less and less farmland, less and less thicket, a little bit more sandy. You can smell the sea, the salt water. You're headed right for it. You can tell. Just finding some things. Cool. Yeah, and you come, like to the top of a like craggy, beachfront, with like rocks, and you're looking down onto the beach. You see a figure down there. It's hard to tell if it's the witch or not, but there's a figure, and there's still tons of fog. The fog is even thicker down here, but like in the fog, there is clearly a figure down by the beach. What do you guys want to do?
Okay. See what the figure looks like.
What's that?
Can we see what the figure looks like?
If you got closer, maybe.
Okay. I would like to get closer.
Everybody
Follow,
down.
but trying to stay a bit stealthy.
Mm-hmm. Fighter, how we doing?
Yeah, I try and hide and sort of stealth with them.
Mm-hmm.
My best to be unnoticed.
You guys make
a
it.
roll for that.
No, it's fine. You don't need it. I mean, you're kind of alone. You're being stealthy to kind of nobody. And you're far enough away where this person probably can't, you can't tell if they're facing away from you. You're not exactly sure. You guys kind of traverse the rocky section until you have feet in sand. The fog, menacing around you. And you slowly approach. The figure, as you get closer, you guys might be like 30, 40 feet from the figure. You can see that there's long grayish hair. The build, the frail build, you would assume woman. Shade, you would definitely recognize that it does not look like the witch. But it's like it's like almost like you can't tell if it's the fog or what, but it's got like an ominous, like ghostly vibe to it. But you guys are still a ways away. Closer or
Okay.
what do you want to do?
Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Where are we? Are we in town? Are we in the woods?
Sorry. No, you have come to the edge of the sea. You're on a beach.
Okay.
You guys had been walking along the beach. Not the beach, but along the sea. On your way here. This is definitely a fisherman's village. We have some farming as well, obviously, but the classics. But yeah, this is of that ilk, and you chased the witch down and found yourself on the beach. You're walking in sand.
Would like to try and edge around so that I'm to the back of this person and then approach them from behind.
Cool. And you guys are close enough now that you can tell this figure is not looking at you, looking out into the sea. But
I mean,
the sea, quote unquote, being nothing but fog. That's like you can't even see the water.
if the fox is attempting to kind of go around the back and not be seen, Shade will attempt to take the front and kind of take attention off of.
Are you are you guys trying to like flank her? Like you're approaching in a like 3 wide flank style, or
I don't know that it's a proper flanking, but yeah, I mean, if the fox is attempting to get around the back without being seen, then Shade would attempt to around front and draw attention.
Yeah, cool. I would suggest, like fighter, you're probably directly behind her, walking slowly towards her. Both the stealthy people are using the fog to aid in their stealth, and approaching, 3 wide, maybe, spread out by 10, 20 feet each or something along those lines. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
sounds good.
And approaching cautiously, I assume.
Yes.
Cool. You guys get about... Would you get within 10 feet of her? Maybe 20 feet of her? 10? 15? Something like that?
At least 20 feet. At least.
Okay. The 3 of you approach in semicircle fashion, let's say. And you get within 20 feet to the point where you can see, you could recognize features, let's say. And this ghostly woman spins around slowly. And you hear her just say, "Please."
Please,
And
what?
what's that?
He says, please, what?
And she turns to you and just says, "Please." And starts walking backwards into the fog. And as she does, the fog starts partings a little bit and creating, revealing this path. And she kind of dissipates into the fog, but the path remains, and you can see now immediately you see that the ocean is frozen into these jagged shards of ice. You can feel the cold coming from the sea, right? It's very weird. But the sea is frozen solid in sharp jags, all the way out. Maybe a quarter of a mile out, you see this giant Frost Spire. It looks like, basically it is just shining in the moonlight. You weren't able to see it because of the fog, but this path that this figure has created goes that far. It's just as if she has parted the fog, and you see this huge, ominous ice tower with, and you can faintly see from this distance, just it looks like there's a blue light emanating from the top. And the moonlight catches it. That's why it's clearly ice or shiny, right? It could be crystal, I guess, from the side. But you're assuming because you can feel the cold and that the ocean is frozen. That's it. And that's where we should end tonight, I think.
Gasp.